Why didn't you tell us you were having a birthday dinner? My mother asked, her voice heavy with artificial concern. I stood in my parents' living room in Spokane, Washington, holding a small box of leftover cake from the quiet dinner I'd shared with 2 coworkers. My sister Brooke sat on the couch, eyes glued to her phone, not even pretending to look up. I did tell you, I replied calmly. 3 weeks ago and again last week. I even texted you the day before. My mother waved her hand dismissively. Oh, sweetheart, you know how busy we've been planning Brooke's promotion party. Speaking of that, we still need to finalize the catering menu. Brooke, did you decide between the shrimp appetizers or the crab cakes? And that was it. The only recognition of my 29th birthday. 5 years in a row now they hadn't celebrated. Not forgotten exactly, that would have been easier. They just didn't care enough to remember. My name is Kelsey. I'm 29 years old, working as a medical billing specialist for a large healthcare network. I've lived alone in a modest apartment for 6 years. My sister Brooke, 26, works in marketing at a tech startup and has always been the family favorite. Everything she does deserves applause. Everything I do barely gets noticed. I placed the cake box on the kitchen counter. Inside was a small chocolate cake with happy birthday, Kelsey written in purple icing, the one I'd bought for myself because no one else would. Actually, I can't stay, I said. I just wanted to drop this off since I couldn't finish it. That's sweet, dear, my mother said, already turning back to Brooke. Now about your guest list. Should we invite the Hendersons? Their son just moved back from Seattle. I walked out without another word. Nobody even noticed. The 20-minute drive back to my apartment felt endless as I replayed the whole exchange. 5 years. 5 straight years of my birthday being treated like an afterthought, while Brooke had lavish parties for every little milestone. When she got her driver's license at 16, they threw a party. When she graduated college, they rented out a restaurant. When she got her first apartment, they bought her all new furniture and threw a housewarming party, one I helped organize. When I graduated college, they took me to a chain restaurant. When I got my first apartment, they offered to help me move, then canceled last minute because Brooke had a date she needed advice for. When I was promoted to senior billing specialist 2 years ago, they texted congratulations and followed it up with a request to help pay for Brooke's new car, and I did. I sent them $2,000 because family helps family. Brooke never thanked me. She probably didn't even know I contributed. When I got home, the apartment was dark. I turned on the lights and looked around at my space, small but peaceful. Everything in it was mine. The secondhand couch I'd bought, the coffee table I refinished, and the art prints I'd collected over time. Every item was a quiet reminder of what I'd earned through my own effort. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and stared at my bank account, $48,000 in savings. I'd been putting money aside for years, living simply, skipping luxuries and vacations. I was saving for a house, waiting for the right moment, but waiting for what exactly? For my family to finally notice me? To treat me as more than Brooke's older, less exciting sister? My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Can you pick up the deposit check for Brooke's party venue tomorrow? We're swamped. I stared at the text for a long time, then opened a real estate website and began browsing listings in coastal Washington. Within an hour, I found it, a small beach house in Westport, 2 hours from Spokane. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, newly renovated with an ocean view. Asking price, $45,000. I bookmarked the listing and closed my laptop. Something inside me shifted, a decision. That had been waiting for years finally took form. Was done being invisible, done being the one they took for. Granted. Done watching my family celebrate Brooke while treating me like an afterthought. This birthday was going to be different, not in the way I had once hoped. With them remembering and finally caring. It was different, in a way that would make them notice, whether they wanted to or not. The next morning, I called the real estate agent listed for the beach house. Her name was Patricia, and she seemed surprised when I told her I wanted to make an offer that same day. Most people prefer to see the property first, she said. Can we schedule a viewing this weekend? I asked. If it's what I want, I'll make an offer right away. You sound very certain. I am. Saturday morning, I drove to Westport alone. I'd told my mother I couldn't pick up the deposit check because I had plans. She replied with a passive-aggressive text about how I never made time for family. The irony wasn't lost on me. The drive followed the coast, offering glimpses of the gray ocean through the trees. Westport was a small fishing town, quiet, weathered, and calm. The beach house sat on a modest lot, 3 blocks from the main beach access. Cedar shingles with white trim, surrounded by tall beach grass moving in the steady wind. Patricia met me outside. She was in her 50s, short gray hair, and a straightforward manner I appreciated. "It's not fancy," she said, unlocking the door, "but it's solid." The previous owners took good care of it. Inside, the home was simple. Hardwood floors, a small kitchen with modern appliances, and a living room with wide windows facing west toward the sea. The bedroom was cozy, with built-in shelves and a view of the beach grass. The bathroom had a clawfoot tub that made me picture quiet evenings with a book. I walked through each room slowly, imagining life here, waking to the sound of waves, drinking coffee on the small porch, and having a space entirely my own. A place where no one could take me for granted, because no one would enter unless I wanted them to. "I'll give you some time to think about it," Patricia said. I shook my head. "I don't need time. I want to make an offer. Full asking price. Cash?" Her eyebrows lifted. "Cash? You already have financing arranged?" "No financing needed. I have the funds." We spent the next 2 hours at a nearby coffee shop reviewing paperwork. Patricia kept giving me looks I couldn't quite interpret, something between respect and concern. "Can I ask something personal?" She finally said as we waited for her office to prepare the documents. "Sure. Are you running from something or toward something?" I thought for a moment. "Maybe both. Does it matter?" "Not legally," she said. "But from experience, buying property out of anger or spite rarely ends well." "This isn't anger," I said honestly. "It's clarity." The offer was accepted within 24 hours. The sellers were motivated, and a cash deal without contingencies made the choice simple. Closing was set for 3 weeks later, right after my birthday. During those 3 weeks, I said nothing to my family. I went to work, came home, and spent my evenings learning about beach house maintenance, winterizing pipes, caring for cedar shingles in salty air, and where to buy fresh seafood in Westport. My mother called twice. Once to ask if I could help set up for Brooke's promotion party, and once to request a contribution since the event was over budget. I made excuses both times. She sounded irritated, not worried. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't mention my upcoming birthday. Brooke's promotion party was on a Saturday. I'd been invited but told them I couldn't attend. My mother's reply had been cold. "I hope whatever you're doing is more important than supporting your sister." I didn't respond. Instead, that Saturday I drove to the beach house for a final walkthrough before closing. The sellers had left it spotless and empty, ready for me. I stood in the middle of the living room looking out at the gray ocean and felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. My birthday came on a Wednesday. I took the day off work, drove to Westport, and officially closed on the house. Patricia handed me the keys with a smile. "Happy birthday," she said. "I noticed the date on your paperwork." "Thank you." I held the keys, feeling their weight. "I hope this place brings you everything you're looking for." I spent the rest of the day at the house, sitting on the porch with a bottle of wine and a plastic cup. I'd brought a few things: a chair, a blanket, and some groceries. As the sun set, I took a photo, me sitting with the house behind, raising my cup toward the camera. The ocean was a gray-blue blur in the background. I posted it on social media with a simple caption: "Birthday present to myself. Family not invited." Then I turned off my phone and watched the sunset alone. I didn't turn it back on until the next morning. When I did, it was flooded with notifications. 73 missed calls, over 100 texts. The post had been shared by friends, commented on by old acquaintances, and had quickly reached my entire extended family. The first message from my mother arrived 10 minutes after I posted. "What is this about?" Then, "Kelsey, call me immediately," followed by, "Is this a joke? Where did you get the money for a house?" My father texted, "Your mother is very upset. We need to discuss this." Brooke's messages were blunt. "Are you seriously trying to start drama during my month? I can't believe how selfish you are." There were messages from aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all suddenly curious about my life, my money, and why I hadn't told anyone. The attention I'd never received for anything positive was now focused on me for one quiet, defiant act. I made coffee in the kitchen and sat at the small table reading the messages. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from a deep, steady sense of vindication. They noticed. Finally, they noticed. At 8 in the morning, my mother called again. I let it ring. Then she called again. And again. On the 4th call, I finally answered. "Where have you been?" she demanded before I could even say hello. "I've been calling you all night." I was asleep, I replied evenly. "It's my birthday." I took the day off. "Your birthday was yesterday, and that's not the point." "What's this about a beach house? Did you really buy one without telling us?" "Yes." There was silence on the other end. "Then how?" "Where did you get that kind of money?" "I saved it over 5 years." 5 years? You've been hiding money from us for 5 years? I almost laughed. Hiding it? It's my money, Mom. I didn't know I needed to report my savings to you. Don't get smart with me. We're your family. You should have told us. We could have helped you find something better, closer to home. I like where it is, and I didn't want help. This is ridiculous. Her voice rose, that same tone that always made me want to shrink and apologize. You bought a house out of spite, to make a statement. I bought it because I wanted to. The statement was just a bonus. That caption, "Family not invited." Do you know how that makes us look? How does it make you look? Like we're terrible parents. Like we don't care about you, I paused, letting that sink in. And whose fault is that? Excuse me? You forgot my birthday again, Mom. 5 years in a row. I told you my plans, I texted you, reminded you, and you ignored me because you were busy planning another party for Brooke. We didn't forget. We've been busy. Your birthday fell in the middle of everything. We were going to take you to dinner this weekend. Were you? Or did you just decide that now? That's unfair, she sputtered. We love you just as much as we love Brooke. Then why don't you show it the same way? We do. You're being too sensitive. Just because we don't throw you big parties doesn't mean we don't care. When was the last time you threw me any party? Or acknowledged something I achieved without turning the conversation back to Brooke? When was the last time you called just to ask how I'm doing? I call you all the time. You call when you need something. Money, help with Brooke, errands. When was the last time you called just to talk? Another silence. This one longer. I'm not going to apologize for caring about both my daughters, she said finally, her voice cold. I'm not asking you to apologize for caring about Brooke. I'm asking you to see that you haven't cared about me the same way. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. What do you mean it doesn't matter? I mean, I'm done waiting for you to notice me. I'm done hoping you'll remember my birthday, celebrate my successes, or treat me like I matter. I bought that house for me. I'm done living for scraps of attention from people who don't want to give them. You're being ridiculous over one forgotten birthday. 5 birthdays, Mom. 5 years. And it's not just birthdays, it's everything. Oh, so now we're terrible parents because we gave Brooke more attention. She needed more support. She's more social, more ambitious. You've always been independent and self-sufficient. We thought you preferred it that way. That excuse hit like a slap. Self-sufficient, independent. Words parents use to justify neglecting the quiet child. I was self-sufficient because I had to be, I said softly. Because asking for attention meant competing with Brooke, and I always lost. That's not fair. Maybe not. But it's true. Her voice softened, turning almost pleading. Kelsey, honey, you're overreacting. Why don't you come home? We'll talk it through. Sit down and sort out whatever issues you think exist. I don't think they exist. I know they do. And no, I'm not coming home. I am home. This is my home now. You can't mean to live in that beach house. You have a job here, a life here. I can work remotely if I want to. My life is wherever I choose it to be. What about Brooke's party next month? You promised to help, I bit back a scream. Even now she was bringing it back to Brooke. I didn't promise anything, I said. And I won't be at Brooke's party or any of them anymore. She's your sister. Has she even noticed I exist lately? Before she could reply, another voice came through. Brooke, clearly on speaker. Is she seriously not coming to my party because of some attention-seeking tantrum? Brooke said. God, Kelsey, could you be more pathetic? Something inside me went very still. Hi, Brooke, I said calmly. Happy belated birthday to you, too. What? My birthday was yesterday, the one everyone forgot again. Oh, please. We remembered. We were just busy. You're being dramatic. You know what's funny? I said quietly. I can list every gift you've gotten for the past 5 years. The designer purse at 21. The Portland trip at 22. The professional camera at 23. The car down payment at 24. The jewelry set last year. Can you name one gift I got on my birthdays? Silence. Exactly, I said. Because you don't know. You never cared enough to notice. That's not my fault. Mom and Dad treat you differently. Maybe if you were more what? More like you? More demanding? More focused on myself? More grateful, maybe. Do you even realize how much Mom and Dad have done for you? And then you go and throw it back in their faces by buying that house and posting that passive-aggressive caption. What have they done for me, Brooke? Be specific. Tell me one thing they've done for me in the past 5 years that wasn't about you. Or something they needed from me. Another long pause. Then, defensively, they let you live at home during college? So did most parents. What else? This is ridiculous. I'm not playing your victim game. It's not a game. It's my reality. And I'm done with it. I hung up before anyone could reply. My hands were shaking again, but I felt lighter than I had in years. I'd said it, all of it. Every bitter thought I'd buried for years was finally out in the open. My phone rang again almost immediately. I turned it off and set it on the counter. Then I stepped outside, sat on the porch, and listened to the sound of the waves. The sense of justice I'd felt earlier was still there, but now it came with something unexpected. Grief. I was mourning the family I had always wanted but never had, parents who cared equally for both daughters, a sister who noticed when I was hurting, birthday celebrations that never came. Yet beneath that sadness was something stronger, relief. Relief that I'd finally stopped waiting for something that was never going to happen. I had built my own life, made my own choices, and created my own happiness. And it felt better than any party they could have thrown. I spent the next 3 days at the beach house, ignoring the constant pings of my phone. I turned it on once to check for work messages, saw another 100 notifications from family members, and quickly shut it off again. The quiet was intoxicating. On Friday morning, I drove back to Spokane to pack up my apartment. I had already spoken to my landlord about ending my lease early and was ready to pay the penalty. My company allowed remote work, something I'd never taken advantage of before. My boss approved my request to work from home indefinitely without hesitation. I was a dependable employee who never caused trouble, and they were glad to accommodate me. I was loading boxes into my car when my father arrived. He parked, stepped out slowly, and looked older and more tired than I remembered. We hadn't spoken since that call with my mother, and I didn't know what to expect. "Kelsey," he said, "can we talk?" "I'm kind of busy, Dad. I can see that." "Are you really moving to that beach house?" "Yes," he rubbed his face. "Your mother is heartbroken. She hasn't stopped crying since that call." "I'm sorry she's upset." "Are you?" "Because it feels like you wanted to hurt her." I set the box down and faced him fully. I wanted her to notice me. "That's different. She notices you. We both do. Do you?" "When was my last birthday, Dad?" He hesitated. "It was Wednesday, right? And what did you do for it?" "We were going to take you to dinner this weekend. Your mother made reservations." I turned my phone on just long enough to hand it to him. "Show me the reservation confirmation. Any text or email proving those plans existed before I posted that photo." He stared at the screen, his face stiffening. "I don't need to prove anything to you, because you can't. You didn't make those plans until after I called you out. You're not upset because you hurt me. You're upset because I made others see it. That's not true. We love you, Kelsey. Everything we've done has been for both of you girls. Everything you've done has been for Brooke. I've just been the dependable older sister, the helper, the one who gives money, shows up when needed, and never complains about being overlooked. You're exaggerating." "Am I?" "I helped pay for Brooke's car. Mom asked me for $2,000, and I gave it. Did Brooke ever thank me? Did you?" He looked away, guilt flashing briefly across his face. "I didn't know you helped with that." "Of course not. You never asked. You just accepted it like everything else I've done for this family without acknowledgement. We appreciate what you do. No, you expect it. There's a difference. Appreciation means noticing. Expectation means taking it for granted." My father glanced at the boxes, then back at me. "What do you want from us, Kelsey? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry we forgot your birthday. I'm sorry we weren't as attentive as you wanted. But you're an adult now. At some point, you have to stop keeping score and accept that families aren't perfect. I'm not keeping score. I'm setting boundaries. And my boundary is that I'm done being invisible in this family. You're not invisible. You're just being dramatic. Then name one thing I've told you about my life in the past 6 months. One interest, one goal, one issue I've mentioned. He opened his mouth but said nothing. I waited. I got a promotion 8 months ago, I said quietly. It came with a 15% raise and a new title. I told you and Mom at dinner. You said congratulations and then immediately started talking about Brooke's new apartment. I don't think you even heard what position I was promoted to. Senior billing specialist, he said quickly. I could tell he was guessing. His eyes gave it away. Nice try. Senior revenue analyst. Different department, different role. But you wouldn't know that because you never asked. Kelsey, I have 2 daughters. I can't remember every detail of both your lives. I'm not asking you to remember everything. I'm just asking you to remember something. You can describe Brooke's apartment perfectly. You know all about her promotion and what she's been posting online. You pay attention to her life, just not mine. My father's shoulders slumped. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I don't want you to say anything. I wanted you to care enough to already know. But since you don't, I'm stepping away. You're punishing us. No, I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. He stood there quietly for a while, looking lost. Then he said, Your mother wants you to come to dinner Sunday. The whole family. We can talk. I'm not coming to dinner, Dad. I'm done. With dinners where I'm invisible, with holidays centered around Brooke, and with being asked for help without receiving any in return. I'm done. You're our daughter. You can't just walk away from your family. Watch me. I loaded the last box into my car and sat in the driver's seat. My father stood in the parking lot, looking smaller somehow as I pulled away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him take out his phone, probably calling my mother to update her. The drive to Westport felt different this time, lighter. Every mile between me and Spokane felt like shedding years of emotional weight. By the time I reached the beach house, the sunset painted the sky in soft oranges and pinks. I spent the weekend unpacking, making the space my own, hanging budget curtains, arranging books on shelves, and setting up my small work desk by the living room window. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. On Sunday evening, my phone rang. Not my parents, but Aunt Patricia, my mother's older sister. I'd always liked her, even though we rarely talked. I answered hesitantly. Kelsey, honey, I saw your post, she said gently. And I just want you to know, I understand. You do? I do. Your mom and I grew up with the same golden child dynamic. I was you in that story. It took me years to set boundaries with our parents, and even longer to rebuild things with your mom. I'm not sure I even want to rebuild anything right now. I'm not saying you should. I just want you to know I get it. And I'm proud of you for that beach house. It takes courage to choose yourself. Her words made my throat tighten. Thank you. Also, she added, I need to warn you, your mom's planning something. A family meeting next weekend. Everyone's invited. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. She's calling it an intervention about your behavior. Of course she is. I told her she's handling this wrong. But I wanted you to know so you're not caught off guard when people start reaching out. I appreciate that. And Kelsey, she said softly. If you need someone to talk to, someone who truly understands, I'm here. No judgment, no taking sides. After we hung up, I sat on the porch watching the waves. A family intervention. My mother was rallying the troops, ready to paint me as the ungrateful daughter who abandoned her family over a single forgotten birthday. She'd cry, play the victim, and everyone would take her side. Let them, I thought. Let them talk, let them judge. I was 2 hours away, building a life that didn't require anyone's approval. The first email arrived Monday morning from my grandmother, my father's mother. The subject read, very disappointed. Kelsey, I raised your father to value family above all. I'm shocked and saddened by your behavior. Buying a house without telling anyone, posting that hurtful message and refusing to talk to your parents. This isn't how we raised you. Family matters should stay private, not broadcasted online. I expect you to apologize and make things right. Your grandfather and I sacrificed so much for this family. Don't throw it away. We'll be at the meeting next weekend. I hope you'll be mature enough to join us. Love, Grandma. I deleted it without replying. Then came an email from Brooke's best friend, Ashley, someone who'd barely spoken to me before. Hey, Kelsey. I just wanted to reach out because Brooke's really hurt. She's been crying and doesn't understand why you'd be so cruel. Families fight, but that photo you posted was mean. Brooke's always looked up to you, and now she feels like you hate her. Maybe think about how your actions affect others before doing something so selfish. Just my 2 cents, I almost laughed. Brooke? Crying for days. The same Brooke who couldn't name one of my hobbies or remember my job title, now devastated because I'd finally drawn a line. More messages came through the week. Cousins I barely knew. Family friends who'd never remembered my birthday. All suddenly concerned about family unity. The message was the same. You're selfish. You're dramatic. You need to apologize. Not one person asked if I was okay. Not one asked why I felt the need to distance myself. Everyone simply accepted my mother's version without question. By Wednesday, there was a voicemail from my mother. I didn't listen at first, but curiosity got the better of me. Kelsey, this has gone on long enough. You're tearing this family apart. Do you know how many people have called me asking what happened? Your grandmother is heartbroken, your father's not sleeping, and Brooke can't focus at work. All because you threw a tantrum over one forgotten birthday. I'm arranging a family meeting this Saturday at 2 p.m. Everyone will be there. Your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, everyone who loves you and wants to help you see reason. I expect you to come. We are your family, Kelsey. You don't get to just walk away from us because you're feeling sorry for yourself. Call me back and confirm you'll be there. We need to resolve this. I saved the voicemail and sent one brief text in response. I won't be attending. Please stop contacting me. Her reply arrived almost instantly. If you don't come to this meeting, you're choosing to end your relationship with this entire family. Is that really what you want? I stared at that message for a long while. The meaning was clear: if I attend and submit to their judgment or be completely cut off. It was meant to intimidate me, to remind me of what I'd supposedly lose. But as I sat in my beach house, listening to the waves and feeling the calm that had finally returned to my life, a realization hit me. I'd already lost them. Or perhaps I'd never truly had them. I typed back, if that's how you see it, then your decision is already made. I'm not the one ending anything. I've just stopped pretending everything's okay. After sending that message, I blocked her number. Then I blocked my father, Brooke, and everyone else who tried to guilt me into apologizing. At first, the silence was overwhelming. But over time, it became peaceful. On Thursday, something unexpected happened. A message appeared on social media from someone named Jenna. Her profile showed a woman around my age smiling in front of a mountain view. Hi, Kelsey. I hope this doesn't sound strange, but I saw your post about the beach house. I just wanted to say I completely understand what you're going through. I went through something similar with my own family 3 years ago. They forgot my 30th birthday while throwing an elaborate party for my younger brother. And when I brought it up, they made me feel like I was the problem for being too sensitive. It took me years to realize I wasn't overreacting. I was finally seeing a pattern that had always been there. Setting boundaries with family is incredibly hard, but it's one of the most important things you can do. You're not crazy, you're not selfish, and you're not wrong for choosing yourself. That beach house looks beautiful, by the way. I hope it brings you peace. I read her message 3 times, tears forming in my eyes. A complete stranger understood what my own family refused to acknowledge. I replied, thanking her, and we ended up talking for over an hour. She shared her experience of setting boundaries, how some relatives eventually understood, while others never did. She told me it was okay to grieve the family I wished for while protecting myself from the one I had. That conversation helped me more than any family meeting ever could. By Friday evening, my phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, Kelsey, it's Daniel, my uncle, my mother's younger brother. I hadn't spoken to him in over a year. Hi, Uncle Daniel. Look, I'm calling because your mom asked me to talk some sense into you. She's really upset about everything. I'm sure she is, I said carefully. But I'm not calling to pressure you, he continued. I'm calling to say I'm not going to that meeting. I've been watching this whole thing unfold, and honestly, I think your mom is out of line. Really? Yeah. I love my sister, but she has a habit of rewriting history to make herself the victim. I've seen how she treats you compared to Brooke for years. I never said anything, and I'm sorry for that. Why didn't you? Because it was easier not to. Calling out family behavior is messy and uncomfortable. But your post made me realize my silence was part of the problem. So I want you to know, you're not wrong. You're not being dramatic. You deserve better. I couldn't speak for a moment. Finally, I managed, thank you. You have no idea how much that means. I do have some advice, he said. Don't expect the rest of the family to see it that way right now. Your mom's already told her version of events, and most people will believe it. They'll think you're the problem. I know, I said. But maybe in time, some of them will see the truth. Exactly. It might take months, maybe years. But the ones who truly care will come around. Until then, focus on yourself. After we hung up, I walked down to the beach. The sky had turned a deep purple, and the sand felt cool under my feet. The waves rolled in steady rhythm. I thought about everything that had happened, the pain, the anger, the unexpected support from people I never expected to hear from. By Saturday afternoon, I pictured my family gathered 2 hours away at my parents' house. I could almost see them, coffee cups in hand, pastries on the table, my grandmother in her usual chair, everyone waiting for me to show up for their intervention. But instead, I was at the Westport Farmers Market buying fresh vegetables and locally caught salmon. The vendor, Carl, an older man who'd been kind each time I visited, asked, "Settling in okay?" "I am," I told him. "Better than I expected." "Good to hear," he said with a smile. "We like having people who appreciate the quiet." That simple exchange stayed with me. No expectations, no hidden motives, just genuine kindness. When was the last time I'd had that with my own family? As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed again, another unknown number. I almost ignored it, but curiosity made me answer. "Kelsey, it's Aunt Patricia. Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine, honey. I just wanted to tell you what happened at the meeting." "You went?" "I did. I changed my mind because I wanted to see what your mother was planning. And honestly, it was worse than I thought." My stomach tightened. "What happened?" "She spent the first 20 minutes crying, telling everyone how you'd broken her heart. That she gave you everything and you threw it all away. She said you bought that house just to hurt her, to make her look bad. She painted you as an ungrateful, selfish daughter punishing the whole family for no reason. Of course she did. Then your grandmother began talking about how disrespectful young people have become and how no one values family anymore. Your father just sat there, looking uncomfortable, not saying a word. Brooke acted the part of the hurt little sister perfectly, claiming she'd always admired you and couldn't understand why you disliked her now. I don't hate her. You know that. But that's the version they're spreading, and most of the family believes it. They spent over an hour discussing you, deciding what consequences you should face, and whether they should cut you off financially. They don't even give me money. I haven't accepted anything from them in years. I mentioned that, along with the fact that no one seems to remember your birthday anymore. And maybe that's part of why you feel overlooked. Your mother didn't like that. What did she say? She accused me of enabling your victim mentality, said you'd always been too sensitive and dramatic, and that by defending you, I was only making things worse. Then your grandmother told me to leave if I couldn't be constructive. Patricia, I'm so sorry, don't be. I told them they should be ashamed for turning this into an intervention, instead of reflecting on their own behavior. Then I left, but Kelsey, I needed you to know what you're up against. They've decided you're the issue, and they're not ready to look at themselves. Not anytime soon. I appreciate you telling me. There's one more thing. After the meeting, your cousin Jason pulled me aside. He said he's been thinking about how the family treats you, and realized he's been part of the problem too. He wanted me to tell you he's sorry, and that he understands why you left. That surprised me. Jason was Brooke's age, and they'd always been close. Really? Really? So it's not everyone, Kelsey. Some people see the truth. We're just not the loudest voices right now. After Patricia hung up, I sat in my car for a while, processing everything she'd said. My family had gathered to discuss me as though I were a problem to solve, not a person who'd been hurt. They'd decided I was wrong without once considering that their actions might have led to this. Instead of asking what brought me to this point, they condemned me for setting a boundary. I drove back to the beach house and spent the afternoon organizing my home office. As I worked, I thought about what that family meeting really meant. They'd given me an ultimatum: submit to their version of events or lose them completely. But the truth was, I'd been losing them my whole life. This only made it official. On Sunday morning, I woke up to an email from my father. The subject line read, "Final attempt." Kelsey, your absence from yesterday's family meeting spoke volumes. Your mother is heartbroken. Your sister is devastated. Your grandparents are extremely disappointed. We gave you every chance to make this right, and you refused. Effective immediately. We'll be removing you from the family trust, the phone plan, and all shared accounts. Your mother has asked me to tell you that you're no longer welcome at family gatherings until you apologize and make amends. This isn't what we wanted, but you've left us no choice. We love you, but we can't continue to enable your selfish behavior. If you decide to act like an adult, you know how to reach us. Until then, we need space. Dad. I read it twice, waiting for the sadness, the panic, the urge to fix things. But it never came. Instead, I felt relief. I wasn't on the family trust to begin with. That was only for Brooke. I'd been paying for my own phone for years, and the only shared account left was a streaming login I never used. They were cutting me off from things I didn't even have. I typed a short reply. I accept your decision. I hope you all find peace with your choices, as I've found peace with mine. Take care. Then I closed my laptop and went for a walk on the beach. The morning was gray and foggy, the kind of weather that used to weigh on me. But now it felt fitting. Cleansing even. The fog blurred everything beyond 20 feet, creating a sense of isolation that should have felt lonely, but somehow felt safe. When I returned, I had another email, this time from Brooke. Kelsey, I need you to know how much you've hurt me. I thought we were close. I thought I could count on you. But you've shown your true colors by abandoning the family over something so ridiculous. Mom is devastated. Dad looks 10 years older. Grandma says she might not have much time left, and you're ruining her final years, all because you wanted attention. Well, congratulations, you got it. I hope you're happy in your little beach house, living alone with no one who loves you. That's what you chose, a house over your family, and when you realize what a mistake that was, don't expect us to welcome you back. Some things can't be undone. I'm done with you. I stared at the email for a long time. The manipulation was so obvious it was almost absurd. The guilt-tripping, the emotional blackmail, the assumption that I was the one who'd destroyed everything. Not a single word of self-reflection or empathy. I didn't respond. I saved the message in a folder called Evidence, along with the others from the past 2 weeks. Then I made breakfast and sat on the porch watching the fog lift. Around noon, my phone rang again. Another unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I checked and found it was my grandmother. Kelsey, this is your grandmother. I don't know what's gotten into you, but this behavior is unacceptable. We raised you better. Your mother is heartbroken, and your grandfather's blood pressure is through the roof. We're too old for this kind of drama. You need to swallow your pride and apologize to your mother. Family is the most important thing in life, and you're throwing it away over nothing. Call me back so we can talk like reasonable people. I deleted the voicemail and blocked the number. By Monday morning, I'd blocked 17 numbers and countless social media accounts. The messages kept coming. Distant relatives, family friends, even Brooke's friends, all repeating the same things. I was wrong, I was selfish. I needed to apologize, but another set of messages came too. Fewer, quieter, but far more meaningful. Jason sent me a message apologizing for never speaking up about the favoritism. Aunt Patricia sent photos of beach houses she thought I'd like, with kind notes of support. Jenna, the stranger who'd first reached out, checked in to see how I was doing. And then there was one more. An email from someone named Chloe. Subject, thank you. Hi, Kelsey. You don't know me, but I saw your beach house post shared by a mutual friend. I just wanted to thank you for having the courage to do what I've been too scared to do for years. My family has a similar dynamic with me and my younger brother, and your post made me realize I don't have to keep accepting treatment that hurts. Me, just because they're family, I'm starting to save money. For my own beach house, metaphorically speaking, and your courage helped me take that first step. Thank you. I read Chloe's message 3 times, feeling something shift inside me. My decision to set boundaries hadn't just changed my life. It had encouraged someone else to do the same. Maybe that was worth more than my family's approval ever was. 3 months passed, and I settled into a rhythm that felt more real than anything before. I worked from my beach house office, took breaks to walk along the shore, or stopped for coffee at the local cafe. The people in Westport were kind, respectful, and didn't pry. They didn't ask why a 29-year-old woman had moved there alone, and I appreciated that more than they knew. My social media became a different kind of space. Instead of posting just to maintain appearances or stay connected with people who didn't genuinely care, I began sharing real moments from my new life. Photos of sunsets over the ocean, my growing collection of sea glass, and the cozy reading nook I'd set up in my living room corner. Each post was simple, natural, and made entirely for myself. The comments were interesting. Old acquaintances I barely remembered started engaging more than my own family ever had. People wrote things like, "This looks so peaceful. You seem truly happy." And, "I'm inspired by your courage to start over." But one thing stood out: the silence. No comments from Brooke, my parents, or most of my extended family. They had made their choice, and I had made mine. In early December, I shared a photo of my Christmas tree. It was small and slightly uneven, decorated with ornaments I'd found at an estate sale and wrapped in lights that gave a warm, soft glow to the room. The caption read, "First Christmas in my own home." First time I felt excited about the holidays in years. Within an hour, my mother messaged me. I hadn't blocked her. I knew if I cut off all contact, she'd claim I'd shut everyone out. Instead, I just stopped replying, allowing her to watch my life move forward without her. "Kelsey, I see you're not coming home for Christmas. We'll have a place set for you at dinner if you change your mind. Brooke is bringing her new boyfriend, and it would mean a lot to the family if you were there. It's been 3 months. Don't you think it's time to move past this?" I stared at that message, analyzing every word. There was no apology, no recognition of what had happened, only an expectation that enough time had passed for me to pretend everything was fine. And of course, the mention of Brooke's new boyfriend, another event I was expected to celebrate. I didn't reply. Instead, the next day I posted another photo, me at the local holiday market, holding a cup of mulled cider and smiling genuinely. The caption read, "Building new traditions." That evening, Brooke called. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "What do you want?" I asked when I answered. "Wow, hello to you too," she replied, her tone laced with fake sweetness. "Mom asked me to talk to you. She's really upset that you're refusing to come home for Christmas." "I'm not refusing to come home. I am home. You know what I mean, to our parents' house, for the family gathering. I wasn't actually invited. Mom just said there would be a place set. That's not an invitation. That's a passive-aggressive way to make me look bad when I don't show up. God, you always make everything so complicated. Can't you just come and be normal for once? Define normal. You know, act like part of the family. Stop being so dramatic. Brooke, in the 3 months since I left, have you once asked how I'm doing? Or acknowledged that maybe how I was treated had something to do with my decision? Oh, here we go again, the victim thing. You're not the only one in this family, Kelsey. You're right. But I am the only one who's been treated like I don't matter. That's ridiculous. You've always mattered. You're just mad Mom and Dad don't worship you? I never wanted worship, just basic acknowledgement. But you wouldn't understand that because you've never gone without it. Whatever. I'm not going to beg you to come. But you're ruining Christmas for everyone. Mom cries whenever someone asks about you. Dad barely speaks at dinner. Grandma and Grandpa keep wondering what they did wrong. You're tearing this family apart. For what? A beach house? The beach house isn't the point, Brooke. It never was. Then what is? Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point, she paused. Fine, don't come. We'll have a better time without you. At least we won't have to walk on eggshells around you. You've never worried about offending me before. Why start now? She hung up without replying. I sat on the couch, petting the cat I'd adopted 2 weeks earlier. A scruffy orange tabby named Captain, who'd been in the shelter for 6 months for being too independent. He purred quietly in my lap, perfectly content, asking for nothing except food and the freedom to come and go. We understood each other completely. A text came in from Aunt Patricia. I heard Brooke called you. Don't let her get to you. You're doing great. I smiled and sent a heart emoji back. Patricia had become an unexpected ally, checking in, offering support, and never pushing me to fix things. She'd even visited once, spending a weekend walking the beach and sharing her own experiences setting family boundaries. Christmas came, and I spent it exactly as I wanted. I woke up late, made a nice breakfast, and spent the afternoon reading by the fire. In the evening, I video called Jenna, a woman who'd reached out after one of my first posts. Over the past 3 months, we'd become genuine friends, bonding over similar family experiences. She lived in Colorado and was preparing to leave her own toxic environment. "How are you holding up?" she asked, her face lighting up my laptop screen. "Surprisingly well." "I thought I'd feel lonely, but I actually feel peaceful." "That's because you're not pretending anymore. You're not forcing happiness in a situation that makes you miserable." "Exactly. My family wanted me to come back and act like nothing happened, to smile through dinner and ignore years of being made to feel invisible. And instead, you chose yourself." "That's not selfish. That's survival." We talked for over an hour. When we ended the call, I felt more supported than I ever had at a family gathering. That day, I posted one photo. Captain curled on the couch beside the Christmas tree, the lights softly glowing. The caption read, "Merry Christmas from our quiet little corner of the world." Captain and I are exactly where we want to be. The comments were overwhelmingly kind. Old friends reached out saying they were proud of me. Even strangers sent messages of encouragement. And again, my immediate family said nothing. But the next day, I received an email from my father. Subject: disappointed. "Kelsey, your absence was noticed and deeply felt. Your grandmother cried through dinner. Your mother barely ate. Brooke's boyfriend asked where you were, and we had to explain that you think you're too good for us. I hope you're happy with your choices. You've broken your mother's heart and she may never recover. Think about that while you enjoy your beach house." I saved the email in my evidence folder but didn't respond. The guilt trip was obvious. My grandmother's tears, my mother's broken heart, all framed as my fault for choosing peace over dysfunction. But I was learning to recognize manipulation, and I refused to let it work anymore. In January, something unexpected happened. At the grocery store in Westport, I ran into a woman I faintly remembered from Spokane. Her name was Diane, an old friend of my mother's. "Kelsey," she said, stopping her cart beside mine. "I thought that was you. What are you doing out here?" "I live here now," I said, bracing for judgment. "Really? Good for you. I heard about what happened with your family. Your mother called me months ago. She was very upset." "I'm sure she was." Diane lowered her voice slightly as she spoke. "She told me her side of things, but honestly, I always felt she was too harsh with you. The difference in how she spoke about Brooke compared to you, it was noticeable. I never said anything because it wasn't my place. But I'm glad you removed yourself from that situation." I blinked, surprised. "Really?" Diane nodded. "Your mother tends to cast herself as the victim in every story, but those of us who've known her for years can see through it. Don't let her guilt trips affect you. You made the right decision." We talked for a few more minutes, and before leaving, Diane gave me her number in case I ever needed anything. As I drove home, something struck me. Not everyone believed my mother's version of events. Some relatives had been quietly observing the family dynamics and forming their own opinions. That evening, I received a message from my cousin, Jason. We'd only been in touch occasionally since he'd apologized through Aunt Patricia. "Hey, Kelsey. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Your mom's been calling family members, trying to get them to convince you to come back. She's telling everyone you're having a breakdown and need an intervention. Thought you should know in case someone reaches out." "Thanks for the warning," I replied. "What are people saying?" "Mixed reactions," he wrote back. Some believe her, but others are starting to ask questions, like why someone having a breakdown would buy a house, get a cat, and look genuinely happy online. "It doesn't add up, because it's not true," I said. "I know," Jason replied, "and people are realizing that. Uncle Daniel told Grandma he thinks Mom is the issue, not you. Grandma didn't take it well, but at least someone said it." Over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle shifts in the family through social media and updates from Patricia and Jason. My mother's narrative was starting to unravel. People were noticing that I seemed content and stable, not broken or lost. They also saw how her stories about me kept changing. First, I was ungrateful. Then I was unstable. Then, supposedly influenced by the wrong people. In February, an unexpected visitor arrived. I was working on my laptop when a knock came at the door. I opened it to find Brooke standing there, clearly uncomfortable in her designer coat and impractical boots. "Can I come in?" she asked. I hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside. "Fine." She walked in, her eyes scanning the cozy space, the shelves, the furniture, the artwork. My cat captain watched her warily from the couch. Nice place, she said, though her tone lacked warmth. What do you want, Brooke? I asked. She sat down without being invited, crossing her legs. Mom sent me. She's worried about you. We all are. You're not worried, I said. You're upset that I'm no longer playing my role. What role? She asked, the supportive older sister who's always there when needed and invisible the rest of the time. The one who gives her time and money but never asks for acknowledgement. The one who makes everyone look good without asking for anything in return. Brooke's jaw tightened. That's not fair, isn't it? I asked. When was the last time you asked about my life? My work, my goals? I know you work in medical billing, revenue analysis. I haven't done that in 2 years, I interrupted. You'd know that if you ever asked. She looked away, uneasy. Okay, maybe I haven't been as attentive as I should. But that doesn't mean you can just cut us off. I didn't cut anyone off. I set boundaries. There's a difference. Boundaries that exclude your entire family? Boundaries that protect me from being used, I said evenly. If you can't tell the difference, that's part of the problem. Brooke stood abruptly. I didn't come here to argue. Then why did you come? Mom wanted me to tell you something. She's planning to visit next week. She wants to talk things out face to face, whether you want to or not. She's not welcome here, I said firmly. She's coming anyway. And she's bringing Dad and Grandma. They're going to make you listen to reason. There's nothing to discuss. I've made my decision. You can't just walk away from family, Kelsey. I can when family refuses to treat me with respect. I'm done explaining this. Brooke turned to leave, then stopped. You know what? You're right about one thing. I never paid much attention to your life. But that's because you never made it interesting. You were always just there, quiet, doing your small job, living your small life. Mom and Dad focused on me because I gave them something to be proud of. Maybe if you'd done something worth noticing, they would have noticed you. The words hung heavy in the air. She seemed to regret them immediately, but it was too late. Get out, I said quietly. Kelsey, get out of my house. And tell Mom not to come next week. If she does, I'll call the police for trespassing. Brooke left without another word. I locked the door behind her, shaking, not from pain, but from anger. After everything, she still didn't understand. She'd confirmed what they all believed, that I wasn't worth noticing. I picked up my phone and sent a group text to my parents and Brooke. If anyone from this family shows up at my house uninvited, I will contact the police. I am not interested in conversations, interventions, or reconciliation. Leave me alone, my mother replied within minutes. You can't stop us from visiting our daughter. We have a right to check on you. I forwarded that message to Aunt Patricia. Do I need a lawyer? Her response came quickly. Possibly. Let me make some calls. The visit never happened. Aunt Patricia's lawyer friend sent my parents a formal cease and desist letter, warning that any uninvited visit would count as harassment. My mother was furious, leaving me multiple voicemails accusing me of treating my family like criminals. I saved everything, texts, voicemails, emails. My evidence folder was growing, documenting months of guilt-tripping and manipulation. I didn't know if I'd ever need it, but having it gave me peace. In March, something shifted. I posted a photo of myself at a local art show, smiling beside a painting I'd bought. The caption read, "Supporting local artists and feeling grateful for this community that's welcomed me." The comments were mostly kind, but one stood out, from my grandmother. "You look happy, dear. I'm glad you found peace, even if it's away from us. I'm sorry we made you feel like you had to leave to find it." I reread her comment several times. It wasn't a full apology, but it was an acknowledgement. A small break in the united front my family had always shown. I sent her a private message. "Thank you, Grandma." "That means more than you know," she replied. "Your mother won't like that I wrote that, but I'm too old to pretend I don't see what's been happening." You deserved better from all of us. Over the next few weeks, more cracks appeared. Uncle Daniel left a supportive comment on one of my posts. Jason began openly supporting me whenever relatives made snide remarks. Even some of Brooke's friends privately reached out, saying they'd been following my story and admired my courage to set boundaries. My mother, realizing her narrative was collapsing, made one last attempt. She posted a lengthy Facebook status about the pain of having an estranged child, portraying herself as a heartbroken mother who had done everything right yet lost her daughter. She wrote about unconditional love, unbreakable family ties, and how she'd always be there when I came to my senses. The reactions were divided. Some offered sympathy and comfort, while others, those who'd watched things unfold, challenged her. "Maybe ask yourself why your daughter felt she had to leave," one person commented. Another added, "I've seen Kelsey's posts. She seems genuinely happy. That doesn't happen when someone's escaping a healthy situation." My mother deleted the post within a day. In April, on what would have been my 30th birthday, I shared a photo of myself on the beach at sunset, holding a glass of champagne. The caption read, 30 years old today. First birthday in 6 years that I truly celebrated. The first that felt like mine. Here's to choosing peace over performance, authenticity over approval, and self-respect over family dysfunction. Best decision I've ever made. The post received hundreds of likes and comments. Many shared their own experiences of setting boundaries with difficult family members, the guilt, the grief, and ultimately, the freedom that came with choosing themselves. But the most meaningful message came from Jenna. I did it. I moved out. I got my own place and told my family I needed space. Your courage gave me courage. Thank you for showing me it was possible. Reading that made me cry. Not from sadness, but from realizing that my decision had inspired others. My choice to protect myself had extended beyond my own life. That same day, my mother sent one final email. The subject read, "Please, Kelsey, it's your birthday and you're not here. Do you know how wrong that feels? How empty the house is without you? I know we made mistakes. I know we didn't always see things the same way. But please, can we try again? Can we talk, really talk, without lawyers or anger? I miss my daughter. We all miss you. Please come home." I read it several times, searching for genuine accountability or acknowledgement of the specific ways I'd been hurt, but it wasn't there. Just vague mentions of mistakes and misunderstandings. Without naming the real issues of neglect and favoritism, I replied, "Mom, I appreciate that you miss me, but missing me isn't the same as understanding why I left. Until you can acknowledge the ways you treated me differently from Brooke, forgetting my birthdays while celebrating every minor milestone of hers and taking me for granted, we have nothing to discuss. I won't return to a situation where I'm expected to pretend everything is fine. I deserve better." I finally believe that. This year taught me that. She never responded. Summer arrived with bright days and an influx of tourists in Westport. I'd made friends among the locals, the woman who owned the bookstore, the couple running the coffee shop, and a small group of artists who painted by the sea each week. To them, I was simply Kelsey, the woman building a peaceful life by the ocean. They didn't know about my family history, and I preferred to keep it that way. It no longer defined me. In August, I received a wedding invitation from Jason. He was getting married in September and had handwritten a note on the envelope. "I know this might feel awkward, but I really want you there. You're important to me, and I'm not letting Mom's drama decide who gets to celebrate with me. No pressure, but I hope you'll come." I RSVP'd yes. Knowing it would be my first time seeing most of the family since I'd left, I felt nervous but also ready. After a year of building a life that didn't depend on their approval, I could handle one wedding. The ceremony was held outdoors at a vineyard near Spokane. I arrived alone, wearing a dress that made me feel confident and graceful. As I walked toward the ceremony, heads turned. My mother's face went pale. Brooke's expression was unreadable. Jason's, however, lit up. He came over immediately and hugged me. "You came," he said warmly. "Of course. I wouldn't miss it." The ceremony was beautiful. During the reception, something unexpected happened. Relatives, cousins, aunts, uncles, even family friends approached me. They asked about my life in Westport, said I looked genuinely happy, and several mentioned following my journey online. My mother stayed across the room, tense and distant. Brooke avoided me entirely. My father seemed unsure how to approach. It was my grandmother who finally bridged the gap. She walked over slowly, using her cane, and sat beside me. "You look well, Kelsey," she said. "Thank you, Grandma." "So do you. I meant what I wrote on that post. I'm sorry we failed you. I'm sorry I went along with your mother's version instead of listening to yours. I appreciate that. Your grandfather wants to apologize too, but he's stubborn. He's been asking about you, wondering if you're truly happy or just pretending." "I am happy," I told her. "I can see that," she said. "It's in your eyes. You used to seem smaller somehow, like you were trying to take up less space. Now you look like you belong in your own skin." We talked a while longer, and when she left, I felt something ease inside me, not full forgiveness, but the beginning of it, at least with her. As the evening ended, my father finally approached. "Kelsey," he said quietly, "can we talk?" We stepped outside into the vineyard garden, away from the music and chatter. "You look good," he said after a pause. "Thanks. Your mother's not ready to admit she was wrong. Maybe she never will be. But I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about how we treated you compared to Brooke." "I think you were right," he said at last. I waited, refusing to make it easy for him. "I can't give you back those years," he continued. "I can't undo the missed birthdays or the moments we overlooked. But I want you to know that I see it now, everything we did. And I'm sorry." "Do you really?" I asked. "Or are you just sorry because I walked away?" He winced. "Both, maybe. Is that honest enough?" "It's a start," I replied. "Can we try to rebuild something?" he asked. "Even if it's different from before?" "Maybe," I said. "But it has to be on my terms. No guilt about missing family gatherings. No pressure to reconcile with Mom unless she's willing to put in the effort. And no expecting me to disappear again." "I understand," he said quietly. "And Dad," I added, "if you ever forget my birthday again, that's it. We're done for good." He nodded, eyes glistening. "I'll add it to my calendar, with reminders. Several of them." We shared a brief, awkward hug before I left the wedding. Driving back to Westport, windows down and music playing, I felt something unexpected. Hope. Not hope that my family would suddenly change, but hope that I could have meaningful connections with those willing to meet me halfway. 6 months later, I sat on my porch watching winter waves when my phone rang. It was my father, calling to wish me a happy birthday, a day early, just in case. He laughed and said he didn't want to risk forgetting again. We talked for 20 minutes about my life, work, and the book I was reading. He asked questions and actually listened. My mother never apologized. She held on to her version of events, telling others I had overreacted and abandoned the family for no reason. But over time, her voice softened as people stopped believing her story. Brooke and I remained distant. Not enemies, just detached. We exchanged polite messages occasionally, but neither of us pushed for more. My grandmother called every few weeks, and our bond grew into something genuine for the first time. Jason and I stayed close, and Aunt Patricia became one of my dearest friends. Uncle Daniel visited Westport twice with his family for weekend trips to the beach. The family I was born into had fractured. But in that breaking, I found the people who truly valued me for who I was, not for the role I played. And in Westport, I built a chosen family, friends who saw my worth without me proving it, who celebrated my achievements without comparison, who remembered my birthday without reminders. As for the beach house, the place where it all began, it became my sanctuary. Proof that choosing myself hadn't been selfish. It had been survival. Every morning I woke to the sound of waves, grateful for the courage it took to post that one simple photo with that one simple caption. Birthday present to myself. Family not invited. My family's dysfunction had cost them a daughter. But their rejection gave me something far greater. Myself. Looking back now, I see that my so-called revenge was never really about getting even. It was about reclaiming my voice, my worth, and my right to exist without apology. The beach house was never a weapon. It was a mirror, showing my family exactly what they had done for years. Some finally saw it. Some never would, and I've learned to be at peace with both.